Hey everybody. So today I'm going to be talking about GrubHub, some pros and cons about the app on the driver's side at least. So GrubHub is just like DoorDash, another food app where they tell you up front what you're making and they don't tell you how many miles, but they tell you around how far the customer is, depending on how the maps look and how you can read maps. But anyways, so I'm going to start out with the cons first. So the first con about GrubHub is blogs are very hard to get unless you're a premier driver, which means you're basically taking all their orders. About I think it's 95% acceptance rate, which isn't which I'm not anywhere near it. Only because they give you so many low offers sometimes that it's not ideal to take all of them. So I cherry pick. So I only take what I think is worth it. I'm not taking every order. So, but with that one, you have to have 95% acceptance rate. Then with Pro, you have to have 85%. And with those two, you get. So basically, GrubHub comes out with their blogs every week. And if you're a Premier or Pro driver, you get the blogs first. So you get to choose when you want to schedule or how you want to do your schedule. And then the last one is Partner, which is everybody else that doesn't have over, I think, 90% acceptance rate. So everybody else gets their blogs, or you can get their blogs late. And it's not, it can be very hard, especially because most of the time the Premier and Pro drivers already have all the schedules, or they get all the blogs that they want. So you're only left with whatever's left. So that can be bad because you can't really choose what time you can schedule most of the time. You can, but you basically have to be up at the time that they release the schedules if you're a partner driver. Because if not, you're not gonna get any blocks. Like I've had some weeks that I don't have any blocks at all. So sometimes if I'm doing DoorDash, I'll wait until the day of, and then at the time of actually while I'm doing DoorDash, I'll wait to see if anybody drops any blocks, and they do drop some blocks sometimes. Most of the time, the weekends, a lot of people drop their blocks, but during the weekdays, it's very hard to get blocks if you don't have some already. So that's the first con. The second one is you can be driving a lot of miles, especially if you don't know your maps. So, like I said, GrubHub will tell you how far you are from the restaurant to the customer's house, but they don't tell you the total miles, so they can be very misleading only because if you don't know how to read your maps, or you don't know your streets, or you don't know your area, it can look like it's pretty close, or it can look pretty close, and it might be very far. It might be 8 to 10 miles, and then sometimes I don't know why they do it, but sometimes it looks like they're pretty far, but then they end up a little bit closer than what they really are. So you have to really know how to read your maps, and if you don't know your area, or if you're new to your area, that can be very hard. Only because you might think you're getting a good offer. You might be saying, "Oh, they give me a $10 order," but the total miles might be 15 miles. Only because the maps are misleading, and you don't know your area. So and that's when it comes to cherry picking. You have to know your area. You have to know how far everything is, or how far you're going from a restaurant. So that can be a con. And then a third one is they do have a very low base pay. So I believe Grubhub, they pay you 22 cents per mile, which is very cheap. And they pay you an estimated time that you're going to be at the restaurant. So I'm not too sure what the number is, but it's not very big. And most of the time, their estimated times are wrong. Most of the time, you will be in the restaurant for much longer, only because they give the orders. Once you get the order that you're about to do, that's when the restaurant gets it too, and that's when they start making the food. So if the restaurant's really busy, then they're gonna take longer, and yeah, that can be bad if you're only doing GrubHub. So yeah, and then another one is you need to hope for upfront tips, which is kind of oh well, unless you're cherry picking. If you're cherry picking, then you'll be fine because you'll know which ones are the tips or not. But if you're just starting out, you can be like, man, I'm not getting any orders in, or any good orders, because usually I won't take most of the orders. I think my acceptance rate for them is 20%, only because they have so many lowball offers too. But it is what it is. And that's why you have to multi-app too, just in case GrubHub is slow, you can do something else. But Yeah. And then the fourth one is long wait times. That can be the most tough one. Only because you might be getting paid pretty good, or maybe $15, $10, but sometimes you have to wait half an hour. You might even wait even more than that, 40 minutes. And sometimes the restaurants, they might tell you a time where it's gonna be ready, and then they'll change it and they'll increase the time. So it's not most of the restaurants. If you know your restaurants, then you'll know which ones to go to and which ones not to go to, or which ones will take a little bit longer, or which ones will be a little bit shorter. But the long wait times does kind of affect you, especially if you're only doing GrubHub, so your per hour is going to be a little bit lower. But yeah, it can be very bad. So enough about the cons. Here, let's talk about the pros. The first one is usually GrubHub is really partnered with big restaurants, and that usually means a better tip or a bigger tip. So they do have fast food too. They have the Taco Bell. I believe they have McDonald's now too. They have KFC. They have the fast food places too. But they also have really big restaurants, big chain restaurants, which means most of the time, if the person's ordering a bigger order, that means you'll get more of a tip. So sometimes even if there's a big order for Taco Bell, let's say, you can get $20. They can get $20 worth of food. The customer is $25. Like you might get a $5-6 tip. That's fine. But if you go to the high end restaurants, like I'm not too sure, but over here maybe like a Outback Steakhouse or this restaurant called Chin Chin, which is really good. Like a lot of people tip a lot on that one, or anything like that. Like those places are usually very expensive, and people will order for their whole family, and the bill can be about $80 to $90. It can be 70, 60 also, but most of the time it'll be towards the high ends. It'll be close to 100 at least. And once you get those orders, at least most of the time you will get a bigger tip. I remember one time I got a really big tip. I don't remember what place it was, but it was a sushi place, I believe. And I think they got around $200 worth of food, and they tipped about $39, which was amazing. So it is nice to know that they do have the big restaurants, so you can get bigger tips. So yeah, and then the second one is you don't really have to worry about your on time rating. So I don't think I talked about this, but with DoorDash, they do give you a time limit, or they give you a certain amount of time where you have to get to the customer, and if not, you can be late. It just isn't the biggest of deals. You can, I think, don't quote me, but I believe that if you can be on time, I think it has to be at least 70%, or else you might get deactivated, I believe. But most of the time, it's not the worst thing, but you can stress a little bit only if you're getting consecutive orders and the restaurants are being late, or you can't find the house. So it can be a little bit stressful. But with GrubHub, you don't have to worry about that. There's no on time rating. The customers do, clearly you want to get the food to the customers as fast as you can, but you don't have to worry about, oh, I have to be here at a certain time. So that's always nice. Like that's a little bit less stress. You don't have to be speeding. You don't have to, worry about getting tickets. You just take your time, drive normally, and don't have to worry about that. And then if anything, you can tell the customer, you can give them a text and tell them, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be a little bit late. The restaurant's taking too long, or there's a lot of traffic. You can do that with DoorDash too, but it'll still affect your on time rating. Not with GrubHub though. And then the third pro about this one is the long wait times. If you multi-app, is very good because you might have accepted the GrubHub order, but if you know that restaurant's gonna take 20 to 30 minutes, you might be able to do a really fast DoorDash or a really fast. Well, in my market, I can't do Uber only because I don't know where I'm going, but you can do a very fast Postmates too. So if the other restaurant for the other DoorDash or Postmates is close, and then the customer's close too, you can do that really quickly only because you'll know that you'll have time, since GrubHub does take a really long time if it's a big order or if it's certain restaurants. So it's really good. You can make extra money while you're just waiting for the GrubHub order if you're multi-apping and if you're cherry picking. So that's always nice. But yeah, so those are some cons and pros for GrubHub. I personally like GrubHub, multi-apping with DoorDash. And then it sounds like I was kind of negative about GrubHub, but they're really good. It can be very good. I wouldn't do it by itself, but they have some really big orders, and it definitely does help. But yeah, thanks guys for listening. If you got like the video, then give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you guys.